Listening test instructions. The listening test is about 50 minutes. There are 6 parts in listening test. You will have about 6 minutes to listen to each passage and answer the questions. The passage will be played once.
Hey, you look concerned. What's on your mind?
The final exam. I'm not fully prepared yet.
Well, don't worry too much. You still have 3 days.
Yeah, but 3 days will fly past in a wink.
Well, you still have time to cram things in your brain anyway.
Question 1. Why is the man looked worried?
You will hear a conversation in 3 sections. You will hear each section only once. After each section, you will hear 2 or 3 questions. You will hear the questions only once. Choose the best answer to each question.
Good afternoon. I wanted to talk about an issue I've been facing with the reserved textbooks. I submitted my request almost 3 weeks ago for 2 titles that are essential for my coursework, but I still haven't received them. Every time I come to the counter, I'm told that they're in process. I'm really beginning to get worried because my assignments and exam preparation depend on those books.
Good afternoon. I'm sorry to hear that. Could you give me the titles and the course details so I can check in our system?
Yes. The first book is Introduction to Educational Psychology by Robert Slavin, and the second is Research Methods in Social Sciences by Bryman. They're both listed under my reserved textbooks request for the Psychology 201 course.
Thank you. I'll just check the system. It looks like both copies were requested from our central storage facility, but there's a delay in their arrival. Sometimes when multiple students place holds at the same time, the system queues the requests and delivery takes longer.
I understand, but I submitted my request quite early. Many of my classmates who requested after me already have their copies. It seems unfair that I'm still waiting.
You're right. Let me investigate whether your request got stuck in the queue. Sometimes, if the demand is high, a copy may mistakenly get assigned elsewhere.
What deeper concern lies beneath her complaint about fairness? What is implied about the system queue the librarian mentions? What does the librarian's apology indirectly acknowledge?
You will hear the second section of the conversation shortly.
I checked the logs. It seems your request was approved on time, but unfortunately the first copy was loaned to another student who had an overlapping hold. The second copy hasn't yet been returned from interlibrary loan. That explains the delay.
So basically, I'm left waiting until either copy becomes available. That's not very helpful, especially since my essay deadline is next week.
I see the urgency. Normally, students are asked to wait for their turn, but since this delay wasn't your fault, I can try to escalate it. One option is to request an additional copy from a partner university. That may take a few days, though.
That's a good suggestion. Let me check. Types, the first book, Introduction to Educational Psychology, is available as an ebook on our university portal. You can log in and access most of the chapters online. For research methods in social sciences, we don't have the ebook version, but I can arrange for the first 2 chapters to be scanned and emailed to you under the fair use policy.
That would really help. At least I'll be able to start my essay while waiting for the physical copies.
Exactly. Meanwhile, I'll also put in a request for a rush order from our partner library.
What urgency shaped her insistence? What role did scanned chapters serve? What relief did the student gain at the end?
You will hear the third section of the conversation shortly.
Thank you. That's a relief. If I can access the first book online and get scanned chapters from the second one, I can manage my deadlines. But could you also let me know once the physical copies actually arrive?
Absolutely. I'll flag your request as priority so that the moment either book is returned or delivered, you'll be notified by email and SMS. I'll also keep an eye on it personally, since delays like this can be very disruptive for students.
I appreciate that. Honestly, I was starting to feel very stressed, thinking that I might not be able to complete my assignments on time.
I completely understand. Access to textbooks is crucial, and we always aim to resolve these issues quickly. Sometimes system errors or interlibrary delays create situations like this, but we try to provide alternatives so students aren't left without resources.
Yes, the alternatives you suggested are really practical. I'll log into the portal for the ebook tonight, and I'll wait for your email with the scanned chapters.
Perfect. I'll send them within 24 hours. And if you face any difficulty accessing the digital resources, don't hesitate to come back or email me directly.
Thank you very much. You've been really helpful.
You're welcome. Good luck with your essay, and we'll make sure the textbooks reach you as soon as possible.
How did the student feel before the librarian offered help? What larger value is reflected in the librarian's actions?
You will hear a conversation followed by 5 questions. Listen to each question. You will hear the question only once. Choose the best answer to each question.
Good afternoon. I came to pick up my car. You called earlier saying it's ready.
Yes, good afternoon, ma'am. Your car is ready, and I'll just explain the repairs we carried out.
Great, but before that, can you tell me how much the total bill is? When I dropped it off, you had said it might just be a minor service.
Sure, the total came to $600.
600? That sounds much higher than I expected. You had estimated about 200. Can you explain why it increased so much?
Of course. When we first checked, we thought it was only an oil change and routine filter replacement. But when we opened the engine, we found the timing belt was badly worn out, almost at the point of breaking. That part alone needed urgent replacement.
I see. But I wish someone had called me before doing it. 600 is a big jump.
I completely understand your concern. We did try to call, but the number we had wasn't going through. Since it was a safety issue, we decided to go ahead. If the belt had snapped while you were driving, the damage could have been much worse and far more expensive.
That makes sense, but still it feels sudden. What else was included in the cost?
Apart from the timing belt, we had to replace the water pump, which was leaking slightly. The pump usually comes as part of the belt kit, so it's economical to do them together. We also topped up your coolant, changed the spark plugs, and did the routine service.
So the belt, water pump, spark plugs, and service. That explains the higher figure. But do you have a detailed breakdown of the charges?
Yes, here's the bill. The belt kit was $250, the water pump $100, spark plugs $50, labor $150, and the rest for oil, filter, and coolant.
All right, that at least helps me understand. I'm not upset about the repairs themselves because I don't want to risk the car breaking down. It's just the lack of advance notice that bothered me.
You're absolutely right, ma'am. We should have confirmed before proceeding. Next time, I'll make sure we have an alternate number on file so you're always informed.
Thank you. I'll give you my work number as a backup. That should help avoid such surprises.
Perfect. Again, I apologize for the inconvenience, but your car is now safe to drive for a long time. The new belt and pump should last at least another 70,000 miles.
That's good to hear. Well, I'll settle the bill today, but please make a note about contacting me before any extra work in the future.
Absolutely, ma'am. Thank you for understanding. And drive safely.
Thanks. Have a good day.
Why did the total bill exceed the initial estimate? What was the primary reason the mechanic proceeded without prior confirmation? Which part of the bill contributed most to the cost increase? what can be inferred about the mechanic's communication practices? What does the conversation suggest about customer trust?
You will hear a conversation followed by 6 questions. Listen to each question. You will hear the question only once. Choose the best answer to each question.
Good morning, madam. I'm John Smith from Greenfield Village. Thank you for coming.
Good morning, Mr. Smith. I'm Emily Johnson from the District Relief Office. We're conducting a drought relief survey. May I ask about your farm?
Of course, Ms. Johnson. I have 3 hectares of land, 2 hectares irrigated earlier, 1 hectare rain-fed. This year, the wells have gone dry.
Which crops did you plant this season? Please be specific.
I planted maize and millet in the irrigated fields and some groundnut in the rain-fed patch. Maize usually yields about 4 tons per hectare, but this year I expect almost 0 from 1 hectare and maybe 0.5 tons from the rest.
I'm sorry to hear that. Have you observed livestock losses or water shortage for animals?
Yes, madam. I have 4 cows and 6 goats. 2 cows are weak due to little fodder, and 1 calf died last month. Fodder prices have risen a lot.
Noted. Did you receive any early warning or advisories from the Agriculture Department?
We received a text message from the Agriculture Extension Office 2 months ago advising water conservation, but the monsoon failed. The local bore well yielded very little.
Have you applied for any compensation or crop insurance claim yet?
I registered for the Prime Minister's crop insurance scheme last year, but the field officer said surveyors haven't completed assessments here. I'm unsure about the claim status.
Thank you. For relief planning, we need details on immediate needs. Do you require fodder supply, drinking water trucks, seeds, cash transfers, or loan moratoriums?
Immediate help with fodder and water would save the cattle. Cash transfer for household expenses and waiver or deferment on crop loans would also help us survive until the next season.
Understood. Can you tell me approximate financial loss from crops and livestock?
I estimate about $1,500 loss this season, crop loss and vet costs included.
I'll record that. Finally, can you provide a contact name and a local verification point?
Yes, village head, Mr. Michael Brown in Greenfield Panchayat. He can verify our fields.
Thank you, Mr. Smith. We'll compile this information and forward recommendations to the district committee. Someone from our office will follow up within a week.
Thank you, madam. We appreciate the support.
What does John's description of his crop losses suggest about this season? What does John imply about crop insurance? What is the implied limitation of government advisories? What does John's mention of financial loss indicate about his planning? What can be inferred about the monsoon's reliability in Greenfield? Which statement best reflects John's perception of immediate needs?
You will hear a news item once. It is about 1.5 minutes long. Then 5 questions will appear. Choose the best way to complete each statement from the drop-down menu.
A major airline strike has caused significant disruption across the country this week, affecting thousands of travelers and leading to a series of flight cancellations and delays. Airline employees, including pilots and cabin crew, went on strike early Monday morning after negotiations over pay and working conditions failed to reach an agreement. According to the airline company, more than 2,000 flights were canceled in the first 2 days of the strike, affecting both domestic and international routes. Airports in major cities, including New York, Los Angeles, and Chicago, have reported long lines at check-in counters, while passengers scramble to reschedule their journeys. Travelers have expressed frustration at the lack of communication from the airline, with many reporting difficulty reaching customer service for updates. Some passengers, stuck at airports for hours, describe the situation as chaotic. "We were waiting for over 4 hours and there was no clear information about when our flight would depart," said one traveler at John F. Kennedy International Airport. The airline union has stated that the strike is a last resort after months of stalled negotiations. Union representatives say employees are demanding better wages, improved working hours, and enhanced job security. Quote, "Our members are committed to providing safe and reliable service, but fair compensation and working conditions are essential," said a spokesperson. Government officials has urged both sides to return to the negotiation table to prevent further disruption, especially as the peak holiday travel season approaches. Meanwhile, travel agencies and airlines are advising passengers to check the status of their flights before heading to the airport. The strike is expected to continue throughout the week, with potential for further disruptions depending on the progress of negotiations. Travelers are encouraged to monitor airline announcements closely and consider alternative travel arrangements.
You will listen to a 2 minutes video. Then 8 questions appear. Choose the best way to answer each question.
Good afternoon, everyone. Welcome to today's roundtable discussion on sports integrity, particularly in light of recent Olympic doping scandals. Let's start with your general thoughts. Mark, would you like to begin?
Thank you, Sarah. I believe these scandals have shaken public trust in competitive sports. Fans expect fairness, and when athletes use performance-enhancing drugs, it undermines the very spirit of the Olympics.
I agree, Mark. From a medical perspective, doping isn't just unethical, it's dangerous. Athletes risk long-term health issues for short-term gains. We need stronger education programs for athletes about these risks.
Speaking from experience, the pressure to perform is enormous. Some athletes feel compelled to use banned substances just to remain competitive. But that doesn't justify it. Integrity should always come first.
That's an important point, James. So, what steps can organizations take to restore integrity? Maria, your thoughts.
Transparency is key. We must implement stricter testing protocols and communicate them clearly to athletes and the public. Punishments for violations should be consistent and fair. This will help rebuild trust.
I also think the media plays a role. We need responsible reporting, highlighting achievements that are clean and ethical rather than sensationalizing scandals.
Another approach is early intervention. Young athletes should be guided on healthy training practices and the dangers of doping from the start. Mentorship programs can make a real difference.
I'd add that role models matter. When top athletes demonstrate ethical behavior, it sets a standard for others. Fans and aspiring athletes look up to them.
Absolutely. Let's discuss the challenges. What makes it difficult to completely eliminate doping?
Testing methods sometimes lag behind new drugs and techniques. That's a constant challenge. Also, there's the psychological factor. Some athletes believe they won't get caught.
Funding can be a problem too. Smaller countries or federations might lack resources for comprehensive testing programs.
Thank you all. To conclude, restoring sports integrity requires a combination of stricter regulations, education, mentorship, and media responsibility. Only then can we hope for clean, fair competition in the Olympics.
You will hear a report once. It is about 3 minutes long. Then 6 questions will appear. Choose the best way to answer each question from the drop-down menu.
The fall of the Berlin Wall in 1989 marked one of the most significant events of the 20th century, symbolizing the end of the Cold War and the reunification of Germany. Many view this event as a moment of liberation, both politically and socially, as it allowed families separated for decades to reunite and open the door to freedom of movement. For those who lived under the strict regime of East Germany, the wall represented oppression, restriction, and a barrier to personal and economic opportunities. Its fall was therefore seen as a triumph of human desire for freedom and democracy. Economically, the collapse of the wall brought opportunities for growth and development in the former East Germany. Industries that had lagged behind due to state control now had access to new markets, technology, and investment from the West. While some argue that the transition was difficult, causing unemployment and social challenges, others highlight the long-term benefits of integration with a more open and competitive economy. Culturally, the event signified a merging of two worlds. East and West Germans began sharing ideas, traditions, and lifestyles that had been separated for nearly 3 decades. Artists, students, and writers found new platforms for expression, and the exchange of cultural knowledge enriched both sides. Politically, the fall of the Berlin Wall challenged authoritarian regimes across Eastern Europe. It inspired movements for democracy and reform, showing that collective action and public pressure could bring about significant change. The images of people celebrating on the wall are remembered worldwide as symbols of courage, hope, and the human spirit's resilience in the face of oppression. The event remains a powerful reminder of the impact of political change on everyday lives and the enduring importance of freedom, unity, and human connection.
Visit celpipmocktest.com for authentic Celpip mock tests and see the difference in your performance.